Hello, everyone. Once again, we are back and we are looking at a game from international master at the time, Ben Finegold, who was rated 2653. So he's a very strong international master. It's just that he hadn't got around to getting his grandmaster norms yet, but he was clearly grandmaster strength. So Finegold is playing with the white pieces, and with the black pieces is a grandmaster named Emil Anka, who was actually lower rated than him at the time, 25-20. This game took place at the Chicago Open in 2006. And the reason why I'm showing this game is I wanted to continue on a theme of dealing with like offbeat openings, all right? Kind of general principles that you can go by, right? Because sometimes we try to refute, the opening outright, and what we do is we wind up wasting a lot of time on the clock, and even if we find the correct continuation, we wind up blowing the game in time trouble or blowing whatever advantage we had in time trouble. All right, so sometimes somebody might play something unorthodox or weird, and it kind of throws us off our game. All right, so I showed a game with Karpov against Mark Seitlin, where Seitlin played like a Schliemann defense, something that you might not see, and Karpov just dealt with it in beautiful fashion, just adhering to general principles. My best advice is if you're faced with the opening you're not really prepared for, is play really solid. Don't try to refute the opening. Even if you wind up with the equal middle game, just try to get through it, and then after the fact, then you can go and study, look at the theory, etc., etc. But don't fall into the trap of trying to refute it over the board. Okay, that's usually you know a trap that you fall into. You wind up wasting a lot of time. I know I've done it before, where I actually find the right moves, but then I'm using a whole bunch of time on the clock. So this game continued after d4 from Finegold e6. So many transpositional possibilities here, of course. If white plays e4, the game can go into a French. The game can become a Dutch defense, right? After e6 is very flexible opening. And a lot of players that like to play weird stuff, they'll open up like this, right? You don't know what he's going to play. Is it going to be Dutch, f5? Or you're going to get a Queen's Gambit decline? You have no idea. Um, This player played c5, so now we have black has an opportunity, or white has an opportunity to bring the game into a Benoni. Okay, so again with the black pieces, Emil Anka, and Finegold says, you know what, we're just gonna keep it classy, and he plays d5, so we go into this Benoni type position. So E takes d5, C takes d5, d6, knight c3, g6. Okay, e4, bishop g7, knight f3. Notice Finegold is just developing his pieces, making his presence felt in the center, right? Nothing fancy, all right? a6, typical Benoni stuff. a4. Now, a4 is not necessary here to stop b5. I know it's a knee-jerk reaction. It's not necessary, but it's a good move, right? Because black's plan is very obvious. So why not throw a monkey wrench in there and play a move like a4? Notice the solidity of Finegold here, right? And now bishop g4. Notice that this is not a classical Benoni. Normal Benoni, black could go into by playing knight f6 here, right? And then maybe at the bishop e2, bishop g4. This gives white the chance to go into his setup where he winds up putting its knight on c4. Okay, so black is playing kind of unorthodox here. He plays a bishop out first, and notice he's keeping the knight off f6. So you might ask yourself, why is he doing that? It's not really clear. All right. So what you have to do is just continue just to play solid chess. Don't try to refute their opening. Don't spend a half an hour here trying to figure it out. Just play solid moves. Look at that, bishop e2. Here's another weird move. He just exchanges the knight off immediately. Bishop takes f3. So it's basically he's trying to have his cake and eat it too. All right. And what he does by not bringing the knight out, to f6 is he's not putting any pressure on the white center whatsoever. Okay, so there's always a downside to such strategies. Yes, he's able to get that bishop exchange for a knight, but then he's not really putting any pressure on the white center. So knight d7 again. You must be suspicious. Why is black holding back that knight on g8? Right? Obviously, he wants to keep this diagonal open for a reason, and also he's keeping the option for moving the f pawn. Also, Finegold's not phased. He just keeps moving in classical form. He has the bishop here. He has his pawns in the center. All right, he's done nothing wrong in the position. Okay, he's hindered white on the queen side. There can be no way that black has anything substantial, okay, in this position, right? So you just keep the position in front of you. Now black is starting to show his hand. So now he plays knight e7. So this lets me know he definitely is planning on moving the f pawn at some point. After all, why else play knight e7 instead of knight f6, which again could transpose into Benoni. Bishop f4, again solid chess, just attacking this pawn. Knight e5. Finegold keeps his bishop up here, and now f5. This is extremely risky because not only are you moving the f pawn, the king is not castled or anything, but this is black's plan with playing the knights to e7 and d7 respectively. Okay, so he's going to try to counter attack the center in unorthodox way. Bishop g5 by Finegold. This pins the knight down and prevents the capture with the knight on after e takes f5. Anka just castles, and now Finegold takes here. E takes f5, and a critical decision here. G takes f5. I personally, I don't think it's a bad move, but I like this move better. Rook takes f5. Little more, little more dynamic here. You're attacking the piece right away. So he has to do something about this bishop. Either he has to just retreat, which gives you a free move here, or he has to try to support the bishop here, right, by playing h4 or maybe f4, something like that, or just exchanging. So I think the rook move is more dynamic and poses white with a little bit more questions. Another move is queen d2. Actually, I like that better because you're connecting the rooks at the same time. You're really not losing any time here. So it's queen d2 and f4. The two moves I would be thinking of is queen d2 because again you're progressing in the position. You're not taking a step back. Right, you're connecting the rooks here and developing the piece. And f4, you're protecting the bishop and you're attacking this knight at the same time. Okay. You're forcing the knight to go back to d7 or f7. So to avoid that situation, black plays g takes f5, which I think it kind of closes down the possibilities a little bit. And you'll see what I'm saying in a second. So now after rook e1, queen d7, and now white just hammers down with f5. So where's the counterplay now? All right, now everything has to switch to the g file. That takes a lot of time. So not only his white shut down possibility on the f file, now this knight is attacked. So the beautiful outpost is now gone. Knight 5 to g6. And now Finegold plays bishop h5. Again, not necessary. Solid move. Of course, typical Benoni moves can be played here. a5, even king h1 is useful. Getting off of this diagonal here. But bishop h5 is played. h6. Bishop takes e7. Knight takes e7. And now queen e2, just simply attacking the knight. Again, the point I'm making here is the solid nature of of white's play. Even though the opening was a little bizarre, white has a beautiful position. Nothing to worry about. Bishop f6. queen d3, b5. And this shows you how desperate black started getting. He sacrifices a pawn here, right? Because his position is under so much pressure. So b5, a takes b5, a takes b5. Rooks come off the board, and this is no problem for white because white is up a pawn, and why not trade off material when you're up a pawn? Why not trade off heavy pieces? So here's what black is basing his counterplay on, is that he will get active. So knight takes d6, and now he runs into like problems in getting his material back. So he plays king f8 here. Probably best probably is going after this d pawn right away. So for instance, rook d8, knight f7, rook takes d5, and then again there's problems. Rook e6 attacking the bishop, bishop d4 check, king h1, and now move like king f8. And white is still better in this position. He's still a pawn up here. Okay. If he tries to snatch the pawn right here, try to equalize the material, then rook takes e7. This is why king f8 has to be played. This gives white just enough time to play a move like rook b6, protecting the pawn, or just simply b3. So back to the game. After knight takes d6, king f8, and now bishop f3. Okay, so notice two pawns are hanging. This one on d5 and the one on b2. So bishop f3, and now rook b4. And black is just trying to keep the pressure on the position. Attack this pawn, he attacks this pawn. And here Finegold plays g3. Now I don't know what the time situation was, but definitely stronger was just rook a1 with the idea of just harassing the king on the back rank. So for instance, if bishop takes b2 here, just rook a8 check, king g7, knight e8 check, king f7, and what that does is make the way for this pawn to advance. So the knight is attacked, and of course if the knight moves out the way, then just simply bishop d5 check, and the game is almost over. There's no way to stop this pawn from advancing. Again, after rook a1, if rook takes b2, same thing. Rook goes to a8, same continuation. This time you snatch the bishop, and same thing, d6. So for whatever reason, Finegold did not see or did not evaluate rook a1 and played g3. He's still better though. Again, keeping the game in front of him, keeping it simple, and that's the thing. He might have saw rook a1, but figured, I see a nice clear win by playing g3 also. That's another principle. Also, sometimes if you see two wins, one is more complicated than the other, you choose the simpler way. So if the bishop takes b2, rook e2, bishop d4 check. Another last ditch effort could be c4 here. Just trying to push the passed pawn, right? Passed pawns must be pushed. But then white has the nice tactics, knight takes c4. Of course, based on this idea of rook takes c4 and then rook takes b2. Nice little deflection thing going on. So c4, knight takes c4. And so black tries to insert this move, bishop d4, preserve his bishop, king g2, and now he takes the rook. However, you have this problem with this passed pawn again. d6, right, knight c6, d7, bishop f6, and then you have this powerful move rook e6 where you're attacking the bishop and attacking the knight twice with the bishop and rook. Okay, so continuing on, let's say rook c2, king h3, king f7, takes. And black is down too many pawns. Just even though he has opposite bishops, just being down 2 pawns, is too much. Even here to try to draw. But that's probably the best chance that black has at this point is to try to play c4. So he plays bishop d4, and then, and of course he evaluated the idea, so he tries to deal with the situation of the bishop first. So he plays king g2, bishop d4 check, king g2, and now he plays c4. But at this point, it's too late because the bishop is now unprotected, right? After this move c4, right? The action of the rook is cut off. So now Finegold, being a tactical wizard that he is, finds the easy continuation. Again, a simple continuation. Rook takes e7, king takes e7, knight takes f5 check. He starts cleaning up. King f7, knight takes d4. Just shut down everything black was trying to do. He's up 2 pawns. Rook b2 check, king f1, c3. And this part is nice, this ending right here. Rook takes h2. And I like how Finegold shuts the door on the rook here. The rook is trapped. So rook h3, bishop g2, rook h2, king f2, protecting the bishop. And now Anka goes for this c2. And now Finegold plays a really nice move here, g4, just shutting down the escape for the rook. So before, a last ditch effort for the rook to get out could be rook h5, right? So if you rush here and play king g1, then rook h5, of course, that's playable also. However, he just shuts the door right here, g4. So now there is no escape. h5, and then king g3, and Anka resigned at this point. So good game by Ben Finegold. Again, very popular grandmaster from the St. Louis Chess Club, and I think he has his own YouTube channel now. What can we take from that game? Well, we kind of explained all the basic things. Again, when the opponent surprises you, don't try to refute the opening right there on the board. Just play really solid, right? Stick to your general principles. Taking control of the center, developing your pieces, right? If you can, obtain the bishop pair. If you look at this game, you see Finegold's play was very simple, and his play was so simple that it just caused a position where he lashed out with the pawn sacrifice. It's kind of like he let the opponent hang himself in the position. All right. So again, that's my advice: is just when you're surprised over the board, just play solid and make sure that you stick to your principles. And then once the game is over, whether you win or draw, then you go back to the drawing board and you look up that opening or whatever and try to find the refutation, if there is one, or the best line. But over the board, don't fall into the trap of taking a whole bunch of time and over analyzing the position and things like that, because you will lose a lot of games like that, and you'll just be frustrated. You'll be one of those guys after the chess game saying, "Oh, I was winning here," or "I was so much better and I lost." You don't want to be that guy. All right, so that is it for this game, and please check my links below. Please support and donate to my channel. Also, below are DVDs/books related to the opening that is seen on the board today, which is some kind of weird Benoni. So enjoy those links, and I will see you guys on the next video.